Hi everyone, this video is dedicated to Newoldstamp process of signature creation. So in case you're interested in all the design peculiarities and details, that is the right video for you. In case you want to see a little bit of a more overview of the general features, there is another video dedicated to that, so do not hesitate to check it out. Now we are getting started to create our signature, so just click the corresponding button and we're going to be redirected to the page with all the beautifully pre-designed templates right here. Make sure you're checking out all of them because there are tons and tons of options that are going to save you a lot of time. However, if you do need to create something from scratch, there is of course an option of that black template. You can just click and then start from the blank page. In my case, I do want to choose the pre-designed template and work with it in case you see something you kind of like but you're not sure about the particular font on the style of the icons. Do not worry about that because we will be able to change everything in the further steps. So once you see something you like, just click on that, and here already within our flexible signature generator, you can see everything is super easy. To the left, you can see the whole flow of things you can add it, and to the right, there is a signature preview that will be updated right away once you change something. Let's say we find the field that we want to add it, for example, the name. I input the relevant name for me, and everything is already visible in the signature preview. Of course, that is extremely easy to edit everything. In case you want to change the order of the fields, you can just drag and drop it by clicking on the 6 dots to the left of every field. In case you see some additional text fields that you don't really need, to the right of every field there is a trash icon which will delete the field just in a few seconds. The same logic applies to the contact information. Everything is changeable and editable, but in case you do need more fields and the template did not provide enough fields for your information, you can always click Add New Field and choose from the menu what kind of information you want to input. Once you're happy with all the information on the template, we can finally work with the design. So on the top right, you click on the design section and we are ready to play around with how everything looks like. Let's start with the font size. For example, if you want your name to really pop out, you can always change the font size, particularly for your name, or then the contact information, title text, information text. For example, I'm not a big fan of the font style Times New Roman and something not for me. I do want to choose Arial, and everything again is possible to change. In case you want to adjust line height, everything again is possible. There is also borderline style. You can turn it on, see if it works for you. In case you do not really like that, no worries. You can always turn it off and go back to the previous version. Once you're happy with this step, we can go and change the image. Here you can see that you can either delete or replace image whatsoever. I'm gonna replace the image with something I already have beforehand, and after that you can always change the settings. For example, how your image looks like. You can choose the shape, you can choose the size, so everything is extremely easy to edit and you can have the final result that you like. Of course, also there is a possibility to link something to your image, so double check if that is something you need. After that, we are ready to go to socials. Again, you can choose all the social and link particular profiles that you need. In case the template did not provide the social media platforms links that you need, there is the whole list, and we are making sure that everything is on there. So in case you're working with a particular social media, make sure that you double check everything because we are always updating this. In case you're not a fan of this style of icons, which I'm not, I want to make it look a little bit more minimalistic, there is always a way to play around with it. For example, you can click on the color icon and then make sure that everything looks coherent with the rest of the assets on your signature. For example, I want to make it a little bit more dark blue. After that, we can play around with the icons, but I think since I have sharp edges on the rest of my assets, I do want to have sharp edges on my social links also, and you can also take away the icon background and see how it works for you. In case you've played around with everything and then in the end you see the result that you're really not a fan of, you can always reset the style and start from the scratch for this particular process. Once you're ready, we can go to the banner section. Here you can see that banner is the actual call to action of your signature. That is super easy to use, and you can always get the data about how many clicks you've received. So basically, you need to first of all upload the picture. So through the replace banner button, it is super easy. And after that, the logic is the same as with the picture that we had beforehand. You can change the shape of that and you can change the size. However, that is super important to notice that for banners, link is mandatory because it's a call to action, so we always need to lead people somewhere. I think it's pretty easy. I'm pretty happy with the banner that we have here as an example, so I'm going to proceed with the next step, which are our app list. There you can find everything you can possibly need as disclaimers, custom tags, screen message, events, marketplace, podcast scheduling, and other examples. For in case you find something that you need, just click on that. In my case, let's say that is a disclaimer, and then we can have additional settings of that. For example, I don't want my disclaimer to be that big. We can always adjust the size of the font. We can also play around with the template of our disclaimer. In case you're happy with that, just go back to apps. But let's imagine you talk to your legal department and you change your mind, you don't really need this disclaimer. That is extremely easy to go back, just hover over the disclaimer field and then you either can edit it or delete it, which I'm gonna proceed with. And the last step is of course the general layout. Here you might have changed a lot of assets, you might have changed a lot of colors, but you're not really happy how the final product looks like because the layout is a little bit off for you. Here are a few pre-designed layout options for you just to make sure that you're happy with your final result. Make sure that you double check all the options because they're great. In my case, I do think I want to have my picture to the left for some reason that looks easier to my eye. And once you're happy with the final result, just save to the dashboard by clicking so, and I think you're ready to go. In case you have any questions, please feel free to contact our support team. They're always there to make your experience as smooth as possible. And thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye, guys.